So we're well into the 2024-2025 FAFSA season, and it has not gone according to plan or how past years have gone. Well, let's rewind a little bit and talk about how did we get here? What happened? Why is it happening? And is there going to be a light at the end of the tunnel? Because of the FAFSA Simplification Act that passed in 2020, the FAFSA application was supposed to be a simplified version. It was supposed to reduce the questions, not be an obstacle, and help those minority students or high-risk students who wouldn't normally get a higher education eliminate one hurdle to make it easier to achieve some success in higher education. Originally, the FAFSA Simplification Act had asked for a simpler FAFSA for the 2023-2024 FAFSA. But the U.S. Department of Education asked for an extension and received an extension of a year to the 2024-2025 year. There were some constraints with this, that they did want the FAFSA released and available for students by the end of 2024. And that did happen. But what was released was not ready and was not functioning to a level that was expected for students and families to be able to easily complete the process. It launched towards the very end of December, and right before the launch, the U.S. Department of Education indicated that it would be a soft launch. There were some things that they could expect. They could expect the site to be down, the application not to be working, and other issues and glitches throughout the time. The U.S. Department of Education did do a great job through social media and their website to let people know of known outages. However, it was frustrating for students and families to navigate this additional step to just try to get that FAFSA application completed. Getting into the form was one thing, having the form work the way it should was another thing. So the soft launch period happened, and with the soft launch, the U.S. Department of Education also said that FAFSA processing on their part, which typically only takes 1 to 3 days, was going to be held until the end of January. So even though you were getting your information in and getting your FAFSAs completed, you weren't seeing your FAFSA submission summary or your student aid index until your FAFSA is officially processed. So as time goes on, applications are coming in, people are working through the glitches and the problems the best they can. Schools are jumping in and helping students as well. It's the first time ever that the recommendation was, if you can wait to complete the FAFSA, wait. Not too long, but wait for the soft launch period to end and wait for some of those glitches to work through, with the exception of anyone who had a deadline that they were at risk of missing. Deadlines for financial aid, deadlines for scholarships, deadlines for state. The advice was to hold off if you can. And it was announced on January 30th of 2024 that FAFSA information would not be sent to your schools because processing was going to be delayed again until March. By March, if you've already met your school's deadlines for applications, you probably already had your admissions decisions by the time March would come around. However, the one thing with the admissions decisions you would be missing would be your financial aid information. How much you're going to get in grants, loans, how much you're going to get from your school as far as merit aid or other types of scholarships, and some of your state funding. And that information wasn't going to be ready until after March. And now with this additional delay, that information isn't even going to be processed until March, meaning you're probably not going to hear till your school from April. One of the reasons that this delayed occurred, this announcement was caused for the need to update some of the tables used to help calculate a student's student aid index. The decision was made to update the tables to have a more accurate calculation of a student's aid index based on the current market of today. And it was the right decision. However, making the decision at the end of the soft launch period created more delays that would then result in FAFSA processing not beginning until March of 2024. That means students wouldn't get their financial aid offer letters likely until about April, and college decision day is May 1st. So while some things can be pushed, college next year will start at some point, and schools need to know who is coming to their institution and who will be in their incoming class, or who will be returning. And these delays were starting to create a crunch time for students and families, and a crunch time that they weren't able to do much as far as getting the information they needed to make an informed decision about where to go to school next year, especially for those first-year students and any student who was considered transferring. After some of the heavy criticism, the U.S. Department of Education did become more transparent. They started offering a lot of information about the FAFSA, updates with the FAFSA, and what's going on with the FAFSA updates. Unfortunately, when they began processing a student's FAFSA to get their ISER, that's the Institutional Student Information Record, the ISER, they started realizing there were a few problems. First, there was a noted vendor error that created issues and incorrectly processed thousands of FAFSA applications. The number was actually estimated it could even be 1 million FAFSA applications had issues. The U.S. Department of Education was extremely transparent with this, but it did not ease the frustration, confusion, or stress in the whole financial aid application process. And eventually the U.S. Department of Education did indicate that they would reprocess any FAFSA that was identified to have a problem, and schools have been given certain flexibilities that they didn't have in years past to allow them the ability to award financial aid quicker and maybe not rely so much on the reprocessed FAFSA. The 2024-2025 FAFSA season has been a tough year. Congress is not happy about it. They already had a hearing to hear from industry experts about what happened and the impacts. What I will say is this is a year for patience. This is a year for planning, pre-planning to make it a little bit easier on everybody to get through this process. Check your emails, check your school portals. Keep your eye out for any information coming to you. Make sure you subscribe to our social media channels to keep up to date. Visit us on edvisors.com and check out the Student Life blog for your latest updates with the 2024-2025 FAFSA fiasco.